session and returning no sooner than 6 p.m. May I get a motion, Mr. Piekarski?
Mr. Chair, on item B, I'm only going to introduce the first half of it, so if somebody wants to introduce the second half, I'll let someone else read that item. But I'll begin with item A, which is pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining, excuse me, for all town unions and non-union personnel, and the contract negotiations with non-union personnel, and the chair has determined that open session would have a detrimental effect on the town's bargaining position.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Pete?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
And I'm an aye, 4-0.
I'm happy to read the beginning of B.
Do whatever you want, yeah.
Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Sections 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, and to conduct contract negotiations with non-union personnel, Finance Director.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Pete?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
And I'm an aye.
And do you want me to, what do you want me to read? And acting town administrator?
I have to read the whole thing.
Pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 38, Section 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel and to conduct contract negotiations with non-union personnel, acting town administrator.
Hearing no second, we will enter into executive session.
And we will be back.
And we'll be back there? Is Jamie back there? There you are. Okay. Thank you, Jamie. Good evening. I would like to call this...
I was just getting them out of the way.
Right? Yeah.
I was about to sneeze.
There's a B in that. Good evening. I'd like to call the Select Board meeting for Monday, May 19th, 2025, back to order, noting that we were in executive session and no actions were taken. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll start with staff comments and announcements. I'm going to lead with this, stating that I will announce that we will not be taking up new business item G, discussion on possible vote to refer a proposed development at 606 Route 28 to the Cape Cod Commission as a development of regional impact. I apologize if anybody is here and made the trip out here. I tried my best through many platforms, emails, phone calls, texts, and such, to alert anybody and everybody, and hopefully it got through to everybody it needed to get through. If there's anybody in the room who's going to wait for that, I would suggest not waiting. And then as far as other staff comments and announcements, anyone in the room?
Good evening, Emily Mitchell, Town Clerk. Just one final announcement that tomorrow, May 20th, is the annual town election. Polls are open at the Harwich Community Center from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., and we hope to see folks there. Thank you.
Thank you. John, why don't you take the next one?
Which,
Memorial Day ceremony. I think you're going to do the
guess I am.
preside for us.
We'd like to welcome all of the town's citizens to the Memorial Day ceremony, which will be on Monday, May 26, 2025, at 9:30 a.m. at Brooks Park by the gazebo. Hope everyone comes out. It's a Norman Rockwell kind of moment, and I really love those things.
You do a great job at it, and we'll look forward to seeing everybody there, those who can make it. Anybody else for staff comments and announcements? Seeing none, we will go to the weekly briefing. Joe.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members, and everyone present. Again, for Phase 3 sewer extension update. Last week it was the 3-week look ahead, so it remains the 2-week look ahead. The 1 East contract, Route 39, Orleans Harwich Road. The work continues. The work continues on Route 39 on public ways and public properties, and there are still police and traffic controls in place in that. Again, Route 39, Orleans Harwich Road. 2 west, they remain on Pleasant Bay Road, again, working on public properties, and again, there are still traffic and police controls in place, and that's expected to continue this week and next. That is the weekly briefing.
Thank you, Joe.
Yes.
We'll move on to public comment and announcement. Anybody for public comment and announcement, please?
Hi, my name is Marjorie Price from 1188 Orleans Road, and I came here last week and I advocated for senior citizens that the beach sticker date be changed from July 1st. As of this date, I've seen nothing and I've heard nothing, and I'm wondering what is happening, and if this isn't the place, who do I go to and where is that person?
Thank you, Marjorie. I will say that there was, and really not supposed to go back and forth here, but I'll just give you a piece of information. At the end of last week's meeting, the town administrator took the opportunity under town administrator's report to lay it all out. So I'm thinking you probably weren't here at the end of the meeting.
I think we were here pretty late, but perhaps,
Maybe we missed it.
maybe I slept, I don't know.
Well, let me tell you, it's easy to do. It's easy to do. So here's what we'll do. Why don't you take a look at the meeting from last week and then reach out to me directly and we'll have a conversation.
And do I find your number somewhere?
I will give it to you tonight before you leave.
Okay, again, if this isn't the place, I want to know who I go to and what I do, because I'm telling you, the seniors are pissed off.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else for public comment and announcement? Please.
Good evening, Bernadette Waystack, Chair of the Cultural Council in Harwich. I just wanted to take this opportunity to let the public know that in just a little more than 3 weeks, on June 12th, from 4 to 6, we'll be having our grants reception for this year's grant recipients, and the public is invited to attend. And I'll be back to remind you again about that, as well as mailing things out. And also, just to take a moment to also state again, there will be 3 openings on the council in June, and encourage interested parties to fill out the citizens' activity form for that. And say once again that just because this committee has been meeting at 4 p.m. does not mean it needs to continue to do so. That's a really important thing to impress upon people, not to be deterred from applying, because we're very much aware that you're cutting out a huge section of the working public who might be willing and able to serve. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Please.
Ed McManus, I'm here as representing the Lower Cape Kiwanis Club, which covers the area from Harwich to Eastham. We're, a traditional service club. One of our major activities is to work with youth in our high schools, and we sponsor key clubs at both Monomoy High School and Nauset High School, and award scholarships to graduating seniors in both of those schools. I'm the current president and actually the advisor of the Key Club at Monomoy. But this Saturday, the We Are the Men men's choir is doing a benefit for us at the community center on Saturday at 1:30. They are a very talented group. They've performed all over the Cape. They've performed in England at the Royal Albert Hall with a huge collection of Welsh choirs. But they're doing a benefit concert for us to raise funds for our scholarship fund. It'll be started at 1:30, and we're asking a donation for people to attend, and it's going to be a very eclectic group of music, from Broadway to patriotic to traditional American and Welsh to spiritual. They are an excellent group, and we encourage folks to come and help us out to maintain our ability to give away scholarships. With the pandemic several years ago, we lost a couple of our big traditional fundraisers and haven't really come up with a good way to replace those fundings, and this would help us out. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Anybody else for public comment?
All right, hearing none. And for the new person who just walked in, I just want to make sure you're not here for item G under new business, the Route 28, number 606. So just, okay. Didn't want you to have to wait. All right, moving on to the consent agenda.
Mr.
Can I get a
Chair.
motion?
Motion to approve the Select Board meeting minutes from May 12, 2025 as printed.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? We're going to go down the line here. Pete?
Aye.
Don?
Abstain.
Julie?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. 401, Joe. And moving on to new business. Vote to affirm the town administrator's recommendation of Stephanie Sykes to the position of Natural Resource Director effective June 1, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Don?
As has been my custom, recently I did go in and review all of the individual resumes, and she's clearly qualified, and welcome her as a great addition to the town.
Thank you for that, Don. Moved and seconded. Joe, would you like to say anything?
Not till you say yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0, Joe.
Thank you. I just wanted to introduce Stephanie. She's here this evening. So thank you for affirming that. And Select Board Member Howell couldn't have said it better. Very qualified and very excited to have her join the team. Congratulations.
Welcome aboard.
He does that every week.
Kind of looks like she just got arrested, but I'm
No, he knows better.
not going to bring that up. Okay, good. All right, just couldn't help myself on that one. Next, we have a vote to approve an annual Harwich Police Department reappointments.
Move that we approve as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded, with Julie getting the second there?
She did get her second.
She got the second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
5-0, Joe.
Abstain.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay,
Oh,
abstain.
my apologies.
401.
401, Joe.
Thank you.
You were taking a little sip there, and I
I
caught you.
was, yep.
Yeah, okay. Item C, discussion and vote on the proposed kitchen rental rates at the 204 Sisson Road. Joe, if you'd like to.
Just ask the board's approval. You can see the material presented by our Director of Cultural Affairs. Very excited to acknowledge that the renovated kitchen at 204 Sisson Road is ready to see new life and new purpose. And certainly answer any questions you have about the proposed rate structure.
Excellent.
I'm happy to make a motion unless board members have questions.
I've got questions, but after the motion's
Yeah,
fine.
we can do it during the discussion aspect.
So I move that we vote to approve the proposed kitchen rental rates at 204 Sisson Road.
Second.
Moved and seconded, and now we'll open for discussion. I'll let Pete take it away.
Couple different questions. One, I see on the document that talks about the rates, it also talks about a facility use policy. Is that a policy that this board needs to approve?
It would have to be from the board. I'd defer to the director for presentation of that. Again, this evening, you're asked only to approve the rates, but the use policy is something the board would have to do.
Good evening. Yes, so we are seeking that you approve the use policy because the language in it has adjusted a little bit pertaining to just the kitchen. So it's the town's facility use policy with kitchen contingencies on it. So there's very specific with the certifications that are required, the additional licensing parameters that are required as well. We did have KP Law already look through this and make sure everything was up to snuff.
Please.
So tonight on the agenda is for the fees, not for the policy.
That's what I understand.
Yeah.
Correct.
Correct. Fees only.
Yeah. So back to the rates, if I could. So a monthly rental. I guess all three of them. Elaborate. Help me understand what they mean.
So monthly rental would be for those individuals that are looking to come in to cook their food, prep space, things like that, that would need basically a minimum of 40 hours in the month. So we want to give them a package rate, and that is competitive based on what other kitchens in Cape Cod and beyond, as well as municipal kitchens, would be required to do. So a lot of people have like membership rates. We're not looking to have an incubator-style kitchen or something where we have 20 people in there using the space. The maximized idea is that it's education-based, but we do have some interested Cape Cod vendors that would need space for packing purposes or baking bread, scones, things like that for farmers markets and local venues around us in our area.
So if I can interrupt before you move on, so the monthly rate, and sorry, Mr. Chair,
No.
does that give them, and I'm going to use the term unlimited use of the facility?
So that's a great question. So in theory, it's unlimited use, but it's within our scheduled parameters. So within our facility use policy, they have access between 7 a.m. and 9 p.m. unless otherwise agreed upon, in which they would follow the same protocols in which we have our event, like the other renters of the auditorium and things like that. They would fill out the same information. We would approve it and we would schedule the program. But they would be let in by a staff. They would not be given full range unsupervised.
Okay, so, but they could theoretically use it 5-6 days a week if they wanted, provided there wasn't another vendor booked in that location.
Correct. So our focus, like I said, is going to be education. So those filler hours are going to be after that. And then we basically want to have it so that we're still making money, even though we may not have a class that month.
And you said that this is competitive, the $500 monthly fee is competitive. What are some of the other fees that you see out there?
So we're seeing base minimum around $800 to $900, but that's based on a fully suited kitchen. So we don't, what we're offering is on what we have for actual ability within the kitchen, based on space, but also the ovens that we can offer and the other aspects that they're able to get when they walk in the door, such as the refrigerators, storage space, dry space, things like that. We are not putting ourselves in a position where we're advertising that we're this full-blown culinary incubator, and we don't want people to be misperceived by that, so we're keeping the rates below what others are seeking that are fully suited kitchens.
But this is considered a commercial kitchen.
It will not be considered a commercial kitchen. It will be considered a limited use kitchen.
Limited use kitchen, okay.
Yes, that is how the health permit will be stated.
Okay, thank you. And if you could continue with the class instruction and the hourly rate.
Right, so class instruction is $45 a class, essentially, and that is higher than it's double of what we charge current art classes or other creative classes at the moment. And the purposes for that is obviously higher amperage and needs of what people are coming in. So they're getting more bang for their buck when they walk in the door to teach a class. So somebody will come in, we will have that instructor pays us for the use of the kitchen space. We help promote that class or that workshop that's going on, and they would do just the same protocols our current instructors have, where they get the profit of what they're actually teaching. We get essentially the rental structure of that class and workshop.
And so if they're charging $20 a head and they get 20 people inside, they're doing okay.
Correct.
Is that competitive to other locations, the 45 for a class?
So yes, it is, but there's not many people that do it in this structure. Most people have it as an incubator style where they're actually tapping into the resources that are renting out their kitchen for thousands of dollars, whereas we're focusing on education, not necessarily incubator. So we're a little bit above market when it comes to class instruction, but it's essentially right on par if you look at people who are doing like DIY charcuterie classes or things like that in the distilleries or the brewers. So those classes are typically $60 and above, and that is simply because those people are sourcing everything to come in. Whereas through the cultural districts, we can have a little leeway as far as what we can help them with. So whether it's marketing through the cultural district or we can help offset some material cost, we're willing to make those means happen so that we can have a very robust program to offer the community.
And so there could be more than one class instruction going on at a time?
No, there will not be more than one. It'll be one and it'll all be scheduled out. So there could be 3 in one day, but there won't be 2 going at the same time. Because we want to be able to maximize, we can have as little as 6 people, but we could also have upwards to 25 to 30 people in a class if they're using the cafeteria space in conjunction with the kitchen.
And is there a time limit on the duration of the class instruction?
Not necessarily in writing, but we do advise people no more than 3 hours because you do lose your clientele at that point.
And the hourly rate would be for whom?
So that would be for someone if they came in, so we oftentimes get like a food truck that needs a sink, the 3-bay sink to wash their dishes for an hour, so we could literally rent the space for them to come in and clean their dishes. Or it could be an event function that's coming in and needs it for a caterer for prep space. It would be an additional fee to their other rental structure that they'd be using the event space. So it's meant to not pigeonhole anyone into the fact that you either have this monthly rate or a class rate. We just want to have a buffer that we have an hourly rate if we were to be presented an opportunity that we would charge that.
If I could continue, Mr. Chair?
Absolutely.
How much time do you think it's going to take for you, your staff, whomever, to manage the schedule?
That's a great question. In theory, our schedule takes a lot to fill. We're coordinating every single room in that building all day long. So it takes hours. To add one additional room to it, we've already been scheduling people further out through the health department. They have a variety of different programs that they want to offer to the community starting in July. So we've already been doing it. I mean, you're talking a couple extra hours a week right now is what it is, but I think our systems in place have really presented us an opportunity to be very successful with our booking procedures.
Okay. To my colleagues, a couple of thoughts that I had. One, I actually think the monthly rental and the class instruction is a little low. I'm not looking to take advantage of people, but when you hear what some of the others might charge, and granted, we're not a full commercial kitchen, but $500 for a monthly rental when they could use it up to 5 or 6 days a week seems very reasonable, and class instruction of $45 to me seems quite low. And my only other concern has to do with, and we're not going to get into it tonight because it has to do more with policy, but there was language somewhere, and I can't find it right this second, but we may require additional insurance, not that we will require additional insurance, and that concerns me.
So, Mr. Chair, if I may, the current facility use policy uses that language, which is why it's used. So-
Agreed, and I don't disagree at all, however, when I think about using a kitchen and some of the issues that could arise by the use of that kitchen, it concerns me.
Right, so to answer to that a little more specifically, anyone that comes in the building has to give us insurance. We don't necessarily let them step on site unless they do. Even our vendors for the farmers markets and all the other markets that we do have a program set up that they can file for a one-day policy through a company called ACT Insurance. It's very minimal, low cost for them. So anyone that comes on site, we do ask that they provide us that certificate of liability that the town asks for. So it's a $2 million aggregate policy all in. And if it's liquor liability, I'm sorry to cut you off, it's a $3 million policy at that point, so they can't just give us the general coverage and liability, they actually have to add in the $1 million liquor liability for an all-inclusive of $3 million.
Okay, excellent, thank you for that. So, to my colleagues, when we entertain the policy itself, I would recommend that we remove the word may.
Thank you, Pete.
Thank
Don?
you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mine's going to go in a slightly different direction, but when they come in, they put the application in, and they walk into the building, because this was part of the infamous cafetorium that was built when the middle school got reconfigured from the high school. So I guess the question is, what are they renting? Are you going to use that corrugated wall and close it off, and it includes the cafeteria portion of that and the kitchen, or is it just the kitchen, or what?
So great question. So it's just the kitchen. If we can accommodate, say it's a 20-person class that they want to do because it works for them and they need that space, if the cafeteria is available, we will use it for class purposes. We don't currently have a second room fee request, but I can say that I am anticipating for future rental structures at the 204, when our rates do increase, there will be a proposed second room rate structure that would be tied into other event rentals. But the wall in your question, that is always closed unless we need to open it for an event. In theory, if we have a program in the cafeteria and someone's renting the kitchen just to use the kitchen for, say, it's that monthly renter opportunity, we'd be using the side door because there's its own egress into the kitchen space.
Okay, thanks.
Welcome.
Julie?
I don't have any questions. I thought your overview on the policy was very thorough. I read through it and I saw the insurance requirements, et cetera, and I saw the different stipulations on the words escaping me about in terms of the kitchen use and those who have to be, what is that word?
So they're ServSafe certified
Thank
that
you.
we're going to be required in allergen awareness training as well.
Yeah, so no, I thought it was great. Thank you.
Welcome.
Michael?
Great job, great proposal. It's nice to see another part of that building come to life. My only concern was what my colleague said about the unlimited monthly. Can you just explain how you got to that?
So the need has been, there's been 10 vendors, so to speak, that have asked about our kitchen space since the day I started here in Harwich, which is all great. But they've been hounding me ever since the day has happened. We have said from the beginning, the kitchen, since I've been here, will not be served as a culinary incubator, that when it comes online, it would be a culinary arts program. seeing that the need in the community is people do need expanded hours and space to either prep their products or cook said products for various farmers markets and other vendor markets that benefit communities, not just ours here in Harwich, but our neighboring towns. I found that it was essential that we added some sort of program to where we could offer that as a possibility. And that was what we wanted to come down. We are not Cam Appliance in Hyannis where we can charge someone $3,000+ That is just too much. But there's plenty of church kitchens in the area, so if we feel that someone's asking for something that's beyond our means, we give them recommendations and pretty much know like what we can and can't do. But the need is there, and I didn't want to dismiss that need, looking at the community perspective.
And you can always come back and change the rates if you feel like it's being abused.
Absolutely.
And
Which we are intentionally going to look at doing. It's one of the same things with the 204 rate structure.
Yeah. And with that said, I would support your recommendation and have the board keep an eye on it and get some updates from you as time goes on the interest level and whether or not we need to tweak the rates.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. And I'll just say I'm thrilled, and you should really be commended for your efforts to continue to create new things at this wonderful building of ours. And I know one of the most difficult things to do when you're starting anything new is get the pricing right. But it sounds to me as if you've done your homework, you've done a comparison, you've set the pricing according to exactly where you think it's going to work, and to Select Board Member McCaskill's point, everything can be renegotiated down the road. So I'm happy you've done all the work you've done, and I will support this. And I am looking forward to the policy part of this, because I think that's more where we can weigh in a little bit more.
Agreed.
So thank you for being here. And we had a motion, we had a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Opposed.
One opposed.
Mr. Chair, if I may
Yes.
add one more time, once
Of
this
course.
kitchen comes online, 100% the building will be, every single room being used finally. So, thank you
Excellent.
for all of your
Thank you.
support, appreciate it.
It's a 4-1, Joe.
Thank you. The policy in the packet will be presented next week as your first reading.
Excellent.
And we've taken notes on some of the commentary already. And if there's any other comments, so that we can
Yeah.
get you a ready-to-go first draft.
And you're looking for the board to email comments to
If you wanted to, and you can still do it under first reading.
Yes,
That's when you really take a stab at it,
of
but
course. Okay.
anything we can do to make it quicker.
Thank you. Item D, discussion on housing committee charge. Votes may be taken. I believe, Michael, you asked for this one to be on, so I'll let you lead.
I did, and I'll start, and I'd be interested in hearing everyone else's comments, but reflecting back to a meeting regarding Pine Oaks 4, it really got me to look at what the housing committee's doing. And it seems to me, at least in review, it appears that it's turned more into a complaining session about people with second homes, developments, and I don't, reading the committee charge that's in there, we're really not working on anything in there besides affordable housing, in my opinion. Comments from the chair at said meeting referred to residents as those people because they were against it. It referred to them not being able to afford their houses if they purchased them today. And that was a representation from someone that was representing that they were speaking for the housing committee. And anyone can go back and watch the tape. There were several comments after, but I think that the board really needs to look at look at this committee, look at the charge, and I would recommend pausing the meetings. We have a housing coordinator, paid position now that the town supported. We have a housing trust that's doing great work. And we have a housing committee that has done some great work, but I don't believe that we have a charge with specific tasks and things for them to work on. And we only seem to be working on affordable housing, not housing alternatives. That, in my opinion, is what they're stuck on, and that is not what the charge says. So I would recommend to the board that you pause the meetings, review the charge, come up with a charge with specific tasks for them to do in cooperation with the housing trust. I really actually feel at this point that the housing committee is redundant from what else we have. But if there were specific tasks, then maybe it wouldn't be. But I'd love to hear what the housing trust has to say about it, and I would love to hear what the board has to say about it, since I won't be on it. But I do believe that the charge is not what's actually happening in those meetings, and it appears to me to be someplace for people that are very passionate about affordable housing to complain about other things. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Michael. Anyone else? Don?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I may be the only person here that was here at the beginning, although Mr. Waystack was also at our original housing summit back in the early 2000s. I do get that there's a whole bunch of different moving pieces now that there weren't back in the day. Personally, I think everybody should be able to work in concert with each other, but they're bumping into each other because they have kind of a redundant charge for some of these things. Rather than even talk about the prospect of eliminating the committee, I was wondering if we had any appetite to look into a charge that actually advocates for the development of year-round housing opportunities, recognizing that what we're defining as a need has actually transcended the 40, 60, 80%, and that we're really talking about even people who are making 120% of area median income, which the Housing Trust can't right now deal with. I mean, they might if we change the charge, refile it, but at the current time, they're not equipped to deal with something like that. But that's where the problem area is. Workforce housing is virtually non-existent. And we could have something that is complementary to, rather than competing for, what we're trying to do with housing. Just a thought.
Thank you, Don. Pete, you have anything you want to add?
I guess my comments have more to do with the housing coordinator and having that individual opine on the effectiveness and structure that they would find useful, and whether or not there is redundancy. So I'm less inclined to support halting the meetings at this point, because I'd like the coordinator to work with the members of the housing committee to see if the scope of work needs to be updated, and again, if there's a place to streamline and tighten things up, and again, whether or not consolidation is required.
Thank you, Julie.
I would suggest that you have a joint meeting with the trust and the housing committee, so that they can talk to you about what they've been working on and where they have been working in tandem, or where they have also been working with the housing coordinator. I think that's the best way to bring the board updated on what's going on, and I think that's a good venue for you to talk to them about what you'd like to see. I don't think we should pause any meetings until you have a conversation, understand the status of that relationship, and then ultimately figure out what the proper charge is to give them, to Dawn's point about any specific walking around.
I'd like to see the housing coordinator in that mix.
Yeah,
because
so-
we have yet to actually have that interaction.
So that's what I'm saying, the housing coordinator, housing committee, and the trust. That'd be my suggestion.
Thank you, Julie. And we'll have a new board next Tuesday night.
So I hear.
Yeah, so Don hears. It'd probably be a good idea to take that up with the new board, and maybe after we reshuffle the liaison list. But I think all points here were good ones, and looking forward, not looking backward. I think that would probably be the right choice to make, unless you want to make a motion to halt meetings.
Good, I thought the comments were helpful.
Okay, great. Okay. Sure, please.
Hi, Elizabeth Harder, Chair of said Housing Committee. First of all, while I'm here, I do want to apologize for what happened at the zoning board meeting. I totally misspoke. I was talking to a very specific group of people when I said you people, and it was interpreted as I meant it to everyone, and I no way, shape, or did. Not at all. My only problem, honestly, is that there are a lot of residents in North Harwich who have problems with Pine Oaks that need to be discussed, really valid problems. No big project is perfect right off the bat. But there's a small group that takes over every discussion.
I'm going to stop you
So
there.
I'm just apologizing since
And
Michael
apology taken,
said it was a
but I
problem.
want to keep it to the agenda item of the charge.
In terms of the committee, you said exactly what we've been working on. We help with affordable housing when asked to by the trust. For example, the discussion about the Penrose project at 456. They have asked us to help Brianna and them with communication, getting out the word to everybody, having the initial meetings, all that. So we will help them in that way. Otherwise, we've been working on trying to get trying to get zoning laws before the board, trying to get the Seasonal Communities Act before you, because these are all tools to use for attainable housing, which is our focus. That was our focus in the charge we wrote, and that's exactly what we want to do. Yes, helping with affordable whenever asked to, but yeah, no, we want to focus on attainable, and I think it'd be great to have a meeting with everybody and clarify. That would be fabulous.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, new business, item E,
Mr. Chair,
please.
motion to approve the following new 2025 annual common vital license, C Street Suites LLC, DBA Mocha Nut, 537 Route 28.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? 5-0, Joe. Discussion and possible vote to execute the owner's authorization form for a tent permit application submitted by the Harwich Children's Fund for an event to be held at 75 Oak Street. Tent to be set up on July 14th, 2025 through July 18th, 2025. I believe we have
So moved for discussion.
a representative, moved and seconded. Now,
My friends, they can join us.
got all kinds of action going
Angie,
on.
can I-
Oh, sure.
Yep, Joe, please.
So there was a motion and a
We have a
second
motion and a second
to do what?
to approve.
Thank you.
To approve.
So, Mr. Chair, before I turn it over to our distinguished speakers, this matter's coming before you because there's a new location for Circus Smirkus. Just now realizing I forgot my red nose, I can grab it before the vote if you need. This is something that has already been vetted through the school system. However, the location of the proposed tent is actually town property. I've not yet been authorized by the Select Board to fill out the document, which is fairly standard. So that's why this matter comes before you, and that's why these folks come before you. I will just start at the outset that I wholeheartedly endorse the board authorizing either me to sign on your behalf or directing the chair or anyone else to sign. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Hi, Angie.
Hi, how are you?
How are you?
Oh, very good, thank you, yes.
Thank you for being here. Hold on one second. We've got action going on. What are we doing?
His motion had
Part
included.
part of my motion was to authorize the town administrator to sign on our behalf.
I heard that.
That's what I seconded.
That's what you seconded. Hi, Angie, again.
Hi, I'm Angie Radio
How are
Chilaka.
you still there?
And thank you, this is
Thank you
good
for-
news, I was bracing myself, so.
Thank you for being here.
So I wanted to thank you very, very much, and I did also want to thank the town administrator and, of course, Julie Kavanaugh, which was our liaison throughout the year for the circus. So thank you again, and we appreciate all of the town officials that supported us and everybody in the community that has been helping us. And we're excited for Circus 25. And again, like I said, everything is going back to the town, so it's wonderful for our children. In
Thank
our
you so much.
Last thing, I just wanted to mention, we had a big pickleball tournament this weekend, very successful. We raised over enough money to pay for 100 tickets for children in need in our community, and we're still working on that. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And if you have any other questions of us?
Hold right there. I think Select Board Member Howell has 9 or 10 questions he'd like to ask.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope you practiced.
Okay.
More importantly, we want to recognize the sponsoring organization for the circus. The Harwich Children's Fund does remarkable work, and we should be thanking you,
Oh, thank you, Don. Thank
for
you. We
everything you do.
appreciate
So
that.
I'll leave it at that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other board members have any questions?
If I could,
Please.
Mr. Chair. Angie, how are you?
Hi, good, how are you today?
Doing well, thank you. Where exactly are the tents going to be set up?
It's going to be on the high school front part of the field closest to Oak Street, basically where the football kids play, rough and tough. So
we figured that would be the best spot, and the school administrators all agreed on that. We're also working with Robert Childs to help us bring in more mats, so that it would make it easier to get the trucks on and off the field. And we're praying that there is no rain through the month of July.
And so that was gonna be my question, right? My lawn is praying for the rain, but for this event, I'd rather it didn't.
No rain. Cape Cod lawns.
So is there an alternate plan should the grounds be soaked and soft?
No, there are no other plans. The circuit, once we sign the contract, the circus goes on, with the exception if there's an act of God, like a tornado or a hurricane or something like that. Otherwise, it goes on rain or shine.
Right, but as far as the movement of the equipment, they don't have a plan B. They have to bring the trucks onto the
They
property.
have to, yeah, so we're trying to work with the schools, Rick Travers, for the building director of the school. And like I said, we're trying to be working with Robert Childs to help us out here, so we can do the least amount of damage. We assume, hoping no damage, but also Sean Fernandez explained to me that the fields are different over at the high school. They use a lot less sod, and there's a lot of other issues that were in a big improvement over what we're dealing with last year.
Okay,
So
excellent.
we're just praying all goes well and everybody's happy.
Agreed. So I wish you great success.
Thank you very much. Well, I
Anyone else?
appreciate it.
Pete, was that it?
Yep, I'm good.
Anyone else?
Vote first, then you can appreciate.
Oh, okay,
Yeah. I think we're gonna be good.
okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 5-0.
Now you can.
Well, thank you very much. You made
Oh,
my day.
thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
All right. Moving right along. Discussion and possible vote to refer a proposed, I'm sorry, we are nixing G and just flying straight ahead here. Old business. Discussion on town administrator search. Votes may be taken. I will turn it over to the board to begin this discussion. Anybody want to start?
I'll start where I pretty much where I left off last week, which, I think we should, since I heard this evening that there's a chance of new board members beginning next week, I think it might be wise to at least reach out to some of these consultants and see if they have an interest to come before us to outline their process, timeframes, things of that nature. And again, I think the timing might be great with the new team coming on board so that we can all hear it together and then make our decision on how we want to proceed forward.
Don?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Building on what Pete said, I agree with him, and I feel with 40% of the board missing, we can't really have an effective discussion about that. I do feel somewhat strongly, though, about the UMass Donahue Institute not being our primary source. Just my own experience, having served on the board of directors for the Mass Municipal Association, you tend to get basically similar candidate for pretty much every administrator or manager opening throughout the state. And, based on where we're at and where we want to go, I think we would be best served to listen to offers from some of the other search firms and try to think a little bit out of the box and not just go for the safe. That's my only comment.
Okay. Thank you. Julie?
I think it belongs in front of your new board, in terms of how you're gonna proceed and which search groups you're going to enlist. And otherwise, I think the previous process of having a committee is helpful as well.
Thank you, Julie. Michael?
I think for the last time, I'm gonna actually agree with Select Board Member Howell. Kavanaugh.
Oh, that's, oh my God, that's shocking.
Agree with me before.
I
Right.
believe it belongs in front of the new board. And I'm not gonna agree with Don Howell again.
You're actually past your quota on that this year.
Okay, so if I'm hearing the board right, and I agree with it, we will wait until the new board is constituted. However, I heard that we should begin reaching out to the search firms. UMass is a firm you would prefer not to reach out to, is that what I'm understanding?
That is correct, until I see what else is out there.
Okay. How do you feel about that, Pete?
Fine, you start with the other three?
Okay. So we'll start with the other three. You and I will have a discussion tomorrow, Joe, and we'll talk about next steps of reaching out.
On behalf of my alma mater, can I correct one thing?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The UMass Boston Beacons do not acknowledge the Donahue Institute, we acknowledge the Collins Center. Donahue's at, I almost said SMU, UMass Dartmouth.
I stand corrected.
So we will hold off on the Collins Center, as I understand it.
Collins Center,
Yep.
right. So, we don't need a vote on that. Consensus of the board works? Okay, thank you. Moving on to item B, discussion on acting town administrator votes may be taken. Who would like to open with that?
Ditto. That's the entire
Ditto.
comment. Ditto from the last.
Yeah, I would say again, on the same lines, one, I'd love to hear from these folks first, but also, you know, I think it's out of respect for the new folks coming in, that we should hold off and have a larger discussion.
Thank you, Pete. Michael?
I have no comment at this time.
Julie?
I would just follow up with what I said last week and just point out that I do believe you can move this on to your next board, but I also want to make the clarification that current ATA is the acting TA when the TA is out of town or otherwise unavailable. And I would note that in the previous situation where the previous town administrator left, the existing town administrator, who was then ATA, was in that position for 6 months. The current ATA has been in her position for 4+ years. So I would just note that you should remind yourselves of that in terms of any discussions you have, because she's currently doing the job anytime the town administrator is out of town or not available. So I don't think that this board should present a second set of standards as to how it previously operated, and then decides to move in a different direction. I think you need to be very careful and cautious on that. I think it sends mixed messages.
Thank you, Julie. Great points. So we will hold off until the new board is constituted on item B as well.
Mr. Chair,
Michael?
and I don't want this lost. Megan Eldridge is not only a rock star of an employee, she's an amazing human. And by my no comment at this time, that is not endorsing that Megan becomes the acting town administrator. To Julie's point, in my mind, she's earned it, but another board is and will make the decisions, and I think that is a fair decision. And we have done that in the past as a precedent as well, not just appointed. So there's a lot of time left between now and then, but I don't want any comments tonight, at least leaving this room, to think that I don't have the utmost confidence in Megan Eldridge. She's done a great job, and she's an absolute rock star and the best human.
I would
I'd echo
agree
the
with
same.
that, right?
I'd agree.
Can I just ask
I agree with you.
Hold on.
We're going out.
Oh,
Bang.
God.
You all set?
I am all set.
No, it's in regards
Sure, please.
I'm Marguerite Heffernan, and last week when I was here, I thought you were gonna ask Megan if she wanted the position to be the assistant, you know, when you're leaving. And I didn't know if anyone asked her if she wanted to become more in charge. You know, because she's gonna be the assistant, right? Or is she the assistant now?
She is the assistant town administrator
Oh,
currently.
okay, so wasn't the board going to ask if she wanted to become the fill-in administrator when she?
Well, thank you
Virtual is-
for your question, and one board member did ask that.
Okay,
It was not a board decision to go and ask her that question.
right,
So, that's the answer to your question. One board member was asking.
okay, one board, but you didn't get a
It was not a
response.
board action.
Okay, no, but do you know if she
I don't.
responded? No, okay,
Again, it was not a board action.
okay,
Thank you.
yeah.
Okay. Old business item C, discussion on the contracted wastewater management consultant. And again, Joe, I'll just ask, we don't have to put all the information in the packet going
Sorry,
forward.
that was supposed to be the case.
No, it's okay.
My
It just,
apologies.
it makes me look at it and say, oh, I have a lot to read, and it's not so much. So, there is, does anybody on the board have anything that they want to bring up regarding the water, wastewater? We are going to have, as I think you asked Pete,
Right.
he will be here as soon as the new board is constituted,
perfect.
within the next 1 or 2 meetings.
Beautiful.
Thank you. But I don't have anything. Michael, Julie, Don?
I don't, no.
Okay, moving on. Update on the Walther Road stairs. Joe?
So, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, you had asked for updates, you can see in the packet. Our conservation agent administrator is not able to join us this evening. If you'd like, I can read it into the record.
Please.
So to Joseph Howard, Town Administrator, from Amy Usowski, Conservation Administrator, update on 23 Walther Road. This was dated May 15th. I've been asked to provide an update / next steps on the potential for a new set of beach access stairs at the town property of 23 Walther Road, which is under the care and custody of the Conservation Commission. Conservation Commission agreed with the first legal opinion given by Attorney Catherine Klein of KP Law. The Commission is aware that a second legal opinion was sought and given by Attorney Amy Questle of KP Law that contradicts what the first legal opinion stated. Conservation Commission will have this topic on for discussion / possible vote at their meeting on May 21st, 2025, which starts at 6 p.m. and is in the Griffin Room. If the Commission agrees that installing a set of stairs is permissible, according to the second legal opinion of the deed, then the next steps would be for the town to have a certified site plan done by an engineer and/or surveyor that shows the property lines, topography, wetland resource areas, and buffer zones, and a detail on the proposed stairs. The town would have to apply to the Conservation Commission with a notice of intent application for the commission to determine if the proposed project is approvable under the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and Harwich Wetlands Protection Bylaw and regulations. These are the same filing requirements anyone else would have to abide by to do a similar project on their waterfront property. Again, she indicates she's unable to attend, but certainly let her know if you have questions.
Thank you, Joe. Does the board have any input? No? Don?
The only thing I will note, because it's sitting right here in her memo, I'm a little concerned because it isn't the first time that, depending on which lawyer you got, a KP lawyer, you got a different opinion. And it's embedded in this letter.
Thank you, Don. Pete, anything from you?
No, are we looking for direction from the board if we want to move forward?
Nope, this was nothing more than an update. It sits right where it's supposed to sit, I believe, right now, regulatory, and we'll hear back from them.
Once they opine on the second
That's
opinion.
correct. Once they opine on that, on the second.
Perfect.
Now's your shot.
Thank you.
See you milling around back there.
Harwich Center.
Waiting to attack.
Thank you. As we all know, we've gone back and forth quite a bit, and it occurred to me that the question I never put before the board to date is, why did you need a second opinion? Nobody has expounded on why a second opinion was needed, only that they didn't like the first opinion. So there's always an underlying reason for everybody's action, including your own, individually or as a group. And I'd welcome an articulation of just why you didn't buy the first opinion, why you didn't buy the Conservation Commission's acceptance of the first opinion, what it is about the first opinion you don't like.
I don't have an answer for you as I sit here right now. I'd have to go back to the documents, the paperwork, and the meetings.
Mr. Chair,
Please?
take a shot at it.
Yeah, sure.
We didn't agree with it.
Well, clearly.
Well, you
But
asked the question.
I guess what I'm asking is, what's the basis for for not agreeing?
Because of the language in the deed is what, if you're asking me, because I won't speak for the board.
Yeah.
I'll speak for myself. If you're
Sure.
asking me, I did not agree with the interpretation of language in the deed.
Yes, that came through loud and clear.
Thank you.
But, you know, what concerned me is, let me start out by saying, who hires and fires KP Law? What?
I think we're going to stick on the topic
Well,
of the Walther
this
stairs.
is to the topic, because when you put out a request for a second opinion, clearly you're telling your hire, KP Law, that you don't like the first opinion. Now, what is KP Law supposed to do? Walk on a fence and decide whether or not they want to give you a second opinion you don't like? I doubt it. KP Law is going to stand behind the unwritten question in the request. And that's what's happened here. And I think that's very unfair. I think it's unfair to the town. I think it's unfair to KP Law. I mean, maybe KP Law isn't up to the task. I think that's what you're suggesting, if you need to go back and have them produce another opinion.
Well, I'll decide what I'm suggesting, and that's not what I'm suggesting. I'm just saying, as it sits right now, I don't have the ability to go back in time.
I'm not,
I think Pete had something you wanted to say before you sit down.
Please, and I don't have the exact language, Matt, but what I recall is the first opinion, within our first paragraph or two, she stated, as to my recollection, that it could be interpreted the opposite of what she opined. One of her first comments, you can disagree with me, Matt, but that's, you ask why, that's why I was supporting sending it back. I don't want two answers within one opinion.
I would respectfully disagree with that, and I will tell you that as far as I'm concerned, the second opinion was Swiss cheese, gerrymandering. It was just giving you what you asked for. That's no legal opinion. You're not the lawyers.
Absolutely not, and it's an opinion, it's not law.
And I appreciate you letting me make that statement.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Just for the record, I didn't have a problem with the first opinion. I stated that at the meeting. I was okay with the first opinion and with Conservation's understanding.
Thank you, I appreciate hearing that.
Anybody else from the board? All right. See if we can get an update on the maintenance of Round Cove and Huxness Road from Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, the update is in your packet. It's in the form of a memo addressed to me from Lincoln Hooper, Director of Public Works. I can read that into the record if you like.
Please, thank you.
To Joe Powers, Town Administrator, from Link Hooper, Director, dated May 14, 2025, regarding Round Cove and Hawks Nest Road work. On Monday, May 12th, Brian Albee and I met with you regarding the proposed work on Round Cove, parentheses, dirt portion, end parentheses, and Hawks Nest Roads. During that meeting, you provided me with a letter dated January 6, 2025, to Bob Freitas and Elizabeth Dubuque, which outlined the Select Board's vote on what work would be done on those roads, parentheses, see attached, close parentheses. You also requested that I notify Ms. Dubuque, which I did in the attached email. On Monday, May 12th, Brian Albee, road manager, and I drove both roads to view what was needed and discussed how we would approach the job. Below, please find what we believe is needed to comply with the Select Board's vote. Round Cove Road, bullet point 1, send our road side swing arm mower to cut back approximately 4 feet of undergrowth and protruding branches. Bullet point number 2, to remove a few trees that are on the immediate edge of the road and present problems maintaining a consistent width, parentheses, 14 feet or less, close parentheses. Final bullet point under Round Cove Road reads grading to eliminate the puddles, ensure adequate runoff, and provide 2 passing areas. We plan to augment the grading with hardener, parentheses, an orange-colored natural soil that contains aggregate, clay, and sand, close parentheses. We have a small stockpile, I think that's a typo, it says stockpiled, but it should read stockpile, at the town sandpit area. The update for Hawks Nest Road is a single bullet point from Raptor Road to Round Cove Road, has been previously widened and improved, but requires the following: regrade a few washout areas, remove dead sand areas, add hardener in a few select areas, and top with T-base to be consistent with the rest of Hawks Nest Road that we maintain.
Thank you, Joe. Any comments from the board?
Think that's
Just
the-
an update. Comments?
No comments, thank you.
Yeah, Pete,
If I
please.
could,
Of course.
the first, in Link's email, I believe it is, it talks about the 4-foot undergrowth and protruding branches being cut back. I don't remember that being part of the discussion. In other words, he's gonna go an additional 4 feet beyond the 14 feet.
I don't think that's what he said, but I'll let you give it a try since you made the motion.
Yep. Well, I don't remember doing that, but I spent a considerable amount of time trying to get this to the point where people could agree with each other, as you are well aware, because it had broken down and we had the prospect of losing the conservation area entirely. What we came out with is Round Cove not being widened. It did have protruding root structures and some other
Protruding.
features that were coming in, and he had to clear those in order to make sure that he could keep it. He's not widening the road, however. He's just trying to take some foliage away from the edges on each side so that
It's
overgrowth.
4 feet on each side. That's an additional 8 feet.
I haven't had a chance to talk with him since then, but he did say he was going to have to cut back on both sides, especially on the root structures, in order to be able to maintain the width as a uniform amount. But it is not going to be more than the 14 feet, the actual road.
Correct. The road will not be. Cutbacks will be an additional 8 feet.
Not above 14 feet to
Side to side
accrue
for
the
road.
14 feet. There was some area,
14 feet will be the road, and then he's gonna cut back 4 feet on either side of the road where necessary for underbrush. So that makes that an additional 8 feet, potentially 8 feet. Now, I know it's not drivable road, but it's a cutback of the existing landscape, an additional potential 8 feet.
let me take a look. So I read this as, and I'm gonna, well, I'll work with administration to double check on this tomorrow, because you make a valid point. Send our roadside swing arm mower to cut back approximately 4 feet of undergrowth and protruding branches. I don't see anything that would lead me down the road, no pun intended, of course, that's beyond the 14 feet width. The way I interpret that, and we go back to interpretation, right, is, and I watched this meeting, interestingly enough, a couple days ago, just to answer.
You need a hobby.
I know, just to answer a resident's question.
Gotta get out more.
I do have to get out more, and I plan on it, trust me. There was noting that there were narrower portions. And I think this is what he's referring to. It's taking a narrow portion and where it is narrow and stretching it to 14 feet. But I'll double check.
See, Mr. McCaskill might wanna say something.
Yeah, but I'll get to him in a minute. You got anything else you want to say?
No, I just would like to clarify that, because an additional 8 feet, and again, I understand it's not the
True.
roadway, but
No,
additional
that was
feet is
not-
significant.
It was not in the motion.
Yeah.
Yeah, Michael?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I would just recommend that we talk through the town administrator, DPW director, but I don't really see this any differently as any other road in Harwich, and that swing mower gets an awful lot of use. There's a reason why they cut back some of the undergrowth, and I appreciate him saying he's only cut a few trees, but I think in many cases out there, as you make a corner, you can't see past that underbrush. So I certainly appreciate his attempt to make it as safe as possible, but I don't view this as any different from any other road, as long as he doesn't go beyond the 4 feet of actual clearing and hardener as we've discussed along with the cutouts. But it might be necessary for him to cut the underbrush. And certainly, I think through you and the town administrator, you can get an answer back to the board on that.
And just as importantly, the major feature of this was we were not going to put T-base everywhere, widen the road out and make it a super highway. It's 14 feet. He's going to smooth it out, and he's going to use hardener for the Round Cove section of it, which is exactly what we had asked for it to be in the first place.
Julie?
No, I would just say that, just to make sure, there was a lot of discussion that went in the neighborhood about this, so I think we need to be very careful that it proceeds the way that it was agreed upon, the 14 feet it should not exceed, but there should be pictures, before and after, because we need to document this, because ultimately, you don't want, to Pete's point, 4 more feet to suddenly come into existence that was not supposed to be altered.
I don't know if we're gonna have those before pictures, because this said send, and they may have already done it, but
No, I don't think so.
I'll double check.
I think you said after Memorial
He
Day.
said after
After
Memorial.
Memorial,
Link
okay,
is-
great,
Link is
great.
sitting on it right now.
Yeah.
You're right, Don, I need to get out more. All right, any more update, anybody have anything else to say on the Round Cove and Hawks Nest? All right, I'm prolonging this just because, we're gonna lose 2 people here in the end of the meeting, so I'm just gonna make this last as long as possible. Joe, contracts.
Filibusters are not allowed under the board rules. Just that, asking the board to authorize the chair to execute a memorandum of understanding with the Cape Light Compact, and this is really for preparation and planning efforts for a regional energy planning grant for the 25 to 27 fiscal years. This is a Cape-wide effort. Certainly recommend that the board authorize the chair to sign. And once the planning is done, you'll have more information coming from Cape-wide Compact.
Thank you, Joe.
Last shot, guys.
I move that we approve the memorandum of understanding between the town of Harwich and the Cape Light Compact to assist with preparation and planning efforts for the Regional Energy Planning Assistant Grant for 2025 to 2027.
And to authorize the chair to sign.
And
He's
author-
not gonna second that.
You have to
Authorize the
second.
chair to sign.
No, you're not gonna second. All right.
I will. Second.
That's against us.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? Pete?
A couple of questions, and Joe, I'm not sure if you have the answers, but we'll give it a shot anyway. So under the town responsibilities, the last two bullets, the second to last one talks about renewable energy data that may affect building usage, and the second one, or the last one rather, talks about the data on permits for as-of-right siting in residential HERS scores. Do you know what type of information that is, what type of data that is?
I think I do. So to the first one that you referenced, the town has solar array, so they're looking for us to quantify the effects of those solar arrays and provide that. We do that generally anyway with Cape Light Compact, because they were the partner in that project. Secondly, regarding the permits from as of right and HERS, we'd get that through the building department for anyone that's doing projects that have to be energy compliant based on the codes.
But is that the only data that they're entitled to on the permits, or do they get other permit information?
No, they typically are just looking for the scores and how many are looking to do it. The documents themselves, we basically give them everything on the permit that's public. So they're not getting anything new, anything that should be redacted or held back, but their focus is on how many projects do you have in the community that are doing that, and what are their HERS scores.
Thank you.
Julie?
So just for the record, any of that information the building department files is all public anyway. You can go in and look at anybody's application. You can look at all the information. The HERS rating, when the report comes out, you have to get a certain number in order to pass, in order for you to get a certificate of occupancy. All of that information is public regardless.
Anybody else? Moved and seconded, and no more discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm abstaining.
Any abstaining? Okay, so we have a 401. Sign. Town Administrator's Report.
Thank you. Quite simply, to offer my personal thanks to both Select Board members Kavanaugh and McCaskill. And second, my heartfelt congratulations, you're making it out. But to both of you and also to all the candidates, the congratulations and the thanks go to you folks, the candidates and their families. I know firsthand the burden that serving can be, and I know firsthand the euphoria sometimes that comes with seeing your name on a ballot or a bumper sticker, and sometimes the euphoria or the defeat that you feel depending upon the election outcome. But every one of those candidates is putting themselves out there. They should be congratulated this evening. They should all be congratulated tomorrow. And I hope everyone does the right thing and gets out and votes. So thank you to the board members as well.
Thank you, Joe.
Appreciate it.
Select Board Member Report. Pete?
No, other than, again, I will echo Joe's comments. Thank you to Michael and Julie for their time served. Their sentence is up, so. You can go
It's
back.
like the Louisiana break.
Exactly. And there probably is an inside job on this one too, but nonetheless, I wish you both well. I'm sure we'll see you in the community and serving in other capacities in the near future, so thank you.
Thank you.
Don?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to speak as the person who has the highest amount of seniority here. I'm profoundly grateful for both Julie and Michael's presence on the board. We haven't always agreed with each other, but there's 5 of us, and that's exactly the point. If we could all agree all the time, there wouldn't be a need to have 5. The fact that you folks have put yourself out there for as many years as you have, knowing what a slog it is at times, is amazing. So you have my personal thanks for being willing to do it.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Julie?
I would echo that I have enjoyed working with all of you on this board, and you as well. And, no, I mean that you're retiring. That was not.
Remember the part about the 5.
But I just want to say thank you, and I thank you to all the staff, because everybody does a ton of work for us to be able to do our job and to read through our information and decipher it all. So I want to thank staff, Joe in particular. I want to thank each and every one of you board members. I've enjoyed working with you. And to Don's point, you're right, we don't always agree, and that is the point of us all going out there and being elected and trying to represent the people the best we can. So I've enjoyed my time, and I look forward to not spending my weekend reading my packets.
Michael?
Yeah, starting with the voters and taxpayers, I can't thank you enough. You didn't elect me once, you elected me a total of 4 times. It's been a pleasure to serve this town. Truly an honor to serve the people of the town of Harwich and the town that I love. We did not always agree, but I did listen. And certainly over the years, when you disagree with certain special interests, they don't like you. I'm okay with that, because I absolutely love this town. I'd also like to thank past and present board members. A lot of great relationships formed, a lot of good arguments. Don and I probably the best of all. But a lot of past board members over 10 years as well, and I would certainly like to thank them. To the staff, past and present, you make this town as great as it is, and that includes volunteers and special employees. But without the volunteers and the staff, this town would not be what it is, and it is absolutely a great town. Jeff? No, never mind. Joe, thank you for your leadership over the years. Certainly appreciate it, and your kind words. Way too many people to thank, but I do love this town.
I have one follow-up that I meant
Yeah,
to
go
say.
ahead.
One thing I just do want to also acknowledge is, it was Stephen Ford's passing, and the wonderful gentleman that he was, that brought me back. And I, in a lot of ways, I initially intended to do 8 months. It was 3 years and 8 months, but I thank Stephen for that too, because he did such a fine job as well.
You're here.
Well, I'll just say, I said my piece at town meeting. And this is definitely a moment for me, because I've enjoyed working with both of you. I've learned a lot from both of you. And I wish I had more time on the board with both of you. More one of you than the other, but most definitely both. I will.
Thank you, Jeff.
No, look.
I can't believe you're talking about Julie that way. Thank you.
Someone asked me the other day what it's like being on the select board, and I said it's like breaking into prison. So you guys are breaking out. So, hey, thank you for everything. Congratulations. Enjoy your time. Don't go get on any boards or committees too soon, Michael. And motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Any, yeah. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. 5-0.